Think positive.
Welcome, or welcome back to the Ghoul Ambrose podcast, GA for short. I'm your host, Prince. This is a space for inner work, self-improvement, self-discovery, mindset, accountability, integrity, reflection, and personal development. This podcast is built for growth, for honesty, and for becoming a better version of yourself one day at a time. New episodes drop every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Today's episode is called The Lies You Believe. Your presence, your laughter, your smile, everything about you. Somebody needs it. Silent struggles tend to make you feel otherwise. Those voices are lies. There's this quiet belief that shows up, not loud, not obvious, but it stays, that you're optional, replaceable, background. Like if you pulled back, if you stopped showing up the same way, everything would just keep moving. No real gap, no real shift, just continuation. And the longer that thought sits, the more it starts to feel real. Your presence does more than you give it credit for. Not in a loud way, not in a way that gets announced, but in a way that shifts things. There have been moments where you just being there changed something. A conversation you don't remember, a moment you brushed past, a version of you that felt normal, left something behind, and you kept moving like it didn't matter. It always feels like impact has to be obvious, something big, something clear, but most of it isn't like that. Most of it is quiet. It's how you respond, how you listen, how your presence feels. It's the small moments that don't look like much from your side, but land differently somewhere else. And because you don't see it, you assume it's not there. That voice in your head, it's consistent. It doesn't rush. It doesn't yell. It just repeats. You don't matter like that. You're not really needed. You could disappear and nothing would change. And because it sounds calm, it feels true. But that voice didn't come from nowhere. It was built from moments where you felt overlooked, from times you weren't chosen, from situations that made you question your place. And now it plays back like a fact. Everything gets replayed. Every interaction, every word, what was said, how it sounded, what it might have meant. And slowly, you start convincing yourself you're too much in some ways and not enough in others. Too quiet, too distant, too different, or not important enough, not needed enough. That constant cycle wears on you. Comparison doesn't always feel obvious. Sometimes it's just a moment, a quick dot, and suddenly you're measuring yourself. What's missing? What's lacking? Looking around and thinking something about you isn't enough. And without even saying it out loud, you start lowering your own value. You don't get to see everything. That's the part that makes it hard. There are moments where something you said, or how you showed up, stayed with someone longer than you think, but you don't get that confirmation. So it feels like it didn't happen, like nothing changed. And over time, that turns into doubt. There are moments where something just feels off. Not loud, not dramatic, just off. Like you're there, but not fully connected. Like something about your presence isn't fully landing. And in those moments, questions start showing up. Do I actually belong here? am I really needed here? And instead of leaning in, you pull back, you say less, you show less, not because you don't care, but because you're unsure if it matters. It gets easy to downplay everything: your presence, your impact, your importance, turning something real into something small. It wasn't a big deal. It didn't really matter. It's whatever. And after a while, you stop letting anything about you feel significant. Then there's that deeper thought, the one that sits longer than everything else. What role do I actually play? Not in a dramatic way, just being honest. What difference is being made? Because if it can't be seen, if it can't be measured, it starts to feel like it's not there. All of this, every doubt, every question, every moment where it feels like you don't matter like that, it all traces back to one thing: a lie you've been believing. Not because you wanted to, but because it kept repeating, because it felt real, because it went unchallenged. Not everything meaningful is visible. Not everything that matters gets acknowledged. And not everything important feels important in the moment. Your presence isn't loud like that. It's specific. It shows up in certain moments, certain conversations, certain connections, and in those spaces, it matters more than you realize. There are connections in your life where your presence isn't optional, not in the way doubt frames it, but in a real way. Something about you can't just be replaced. That question has been sitting there, whether it's been said out loud or not. Do I actually matter like that? And when there's no clear answer, your mind fills it in with doubt, with assumptions, with silence. But the truth is, you don't get to see everything. You don't get to see every moment where your presence shifted something. You don't get to see every time just you being there meant more than it looked like. So instead, you assume it didn't. And that's where the disconnect is. Not in your value, but in your ability to see it. So when that thought comes back, don't rush to answer it with doubt. Let it sit. Let it actually land. No pressure. That's all. I hope you found something worth taking with you today. Maybe a new perspective. Maybe a moment to pause and reflect. Thank you for being here and sharing this space with me. Your presence matters. If this resonated with you, share it with someone you care about, because growth spreads through connection. I'll see you next time. Take care of yourself. Stay grounded. And as always, be safe.